Welcome back to Donington Park for the 50-minute pit stop race. The grid's based on their fastest laps in that sprint race, so it is. On the front row, Richard Neary is joined by James Webb. Second row, Graham Tilley and John Seal. Row 3, Jim Geddy and Graham DeZille. Fourth row, Tom Barrow, Jensen Lunn. And on row 5, it's Josh Jackson and Steve Ruston. James Guess and Gareth Howell on the 6th row, with Brent Millage and Chris Murphy on row 7. 8th row, David Frankland and James Simons. And row 9 is Jasper Henriksen and Ron Johnson. So it is a 50-minute race with a pit stop in the middle. Those with 2 drivers will be changing over. The names I gave are the ones that are starting this time round. And the safety car gets ready to peel off into the pits. There it goes, and it's now Dad Richard Neary that has got that pole position, and he's determined to make it count. And he's got James Webb, who's doing the whole thing on his own today. His brother Tom will do the whole thing tomorrow, but Richard Neary, round the first corner he goes. Redgate gets very busy on this first lap. 3 into 1 doesn't often go, does it? But somehow they've made it through there safely. And there's a shuffle up that's gone on there, because it looks like there's telltale signs in the background, and the 2 green cars a little bit further afield than we'd expect them to be. So something's happened just out of our view there, and they're sat there. What was that? Probably about sort of 5th and 6th place there for John Seal and Richard Neary at the moment. So it's James Webb has the lead from Graham Tilley in that number 6 Nissan, just behind Jim Geddy in the number 78 ABG Motorsport Lamborghini. And Richard Neary just runs wide as he goes up the hill, and he's just sort of taming that bucking Bronco to get it back on, and he's done it. That was the exit of McLean's heading in towards Coppice, and he's back in the pack now, and he's got to work his way through this big grid of sort of GTB, GTH and GTA cars further back there. But the big GTO is going to hope that he can get through it like a hot knife through butter, through past the GTB. Oh my goodness, and he's just lunged past 2 in quick succession there. That was the GTH car, number 21 of Josh Jackson. He's doing the whole thing on his own as well. I think it's the first time that he's done that. Graham DeZille is now up the inside, so he was a little bit out of position as well, to be honest, wasn't he? So he's got caught up in the early stages by the looks of it as well. He said it looked quite tight into Redgate, let alone when they got to Hollywood and the Craners. Talking of Craners, down the bottom there is Jim Geddy trying desperately to reel in the fellow GTO car of Graham Tilley ahead of him. He'll be handing that car to Will Tregurtha in this race. Same as Jim Geddy will be heading over to Glyn Geddy. So we've got some pretty impressive pros that come out to play in this one. And there we see that Richard Neary, he's managed to get past the BMW. Tom Barrow started that Saxon Motorsport BMW. I said earlier, so good to see that one back out again. It sort of made an appearance early in the year, and it's back out again now. Very different to the BMW we just saw behind it. But there is James Webb still in the lead as it stands at the moment. Graham Tilley under growing pressure now from Jim Geddy. Remember, this is the first time they've been out in this Lamborghini Super Trofeo car, so Jim is really getting to grips with that before taking it over to Dubai. The beautiful Golf liveried Stanbridge Motorsport Lotus Evora. James Simons at the wheel of that one, and he was under growing pressure there from David Franklin. 911, he's got the inside line heading down towards the Roberts chicane. He'll have the inside as he gets there, so he'll be hoping to take advantage of that. Now these 2 green cars are working their way through. They're past Graham DeZille. Down the Craner curves they flash, and trying to get even further ahead. And David Franklin did make that move stick, so he has managed to get that GTB car ahead of the GTA car of James Simons, who's now under pressure from Chris Murphy, the GTH car. I've said it time and time again, it doesn't matter about the groups, they fight with each other no matter what, and that's what we like to see. We want to see the racing, and they are racers by nature. But a great gaggle, the white Ginetta there as well of Jasper Henriksen, and that's the number 57 car. He's under growing pressure there from the Speedworks. Ron Johnson at the wheel of that one as well, that Aston Martin. Look at this, the 2 of them are back together. They might not be in their usual place at the front of the field as it stands, but they still manage to find each other. John Seal, number 55, desperately trying to keep the ABBA Racing Mercedes, number 80, behind him. Richard Neary at the wheel at the moment before handing over to his son a little bit later. He's looking towards the inside as he gets towards Redgate. He's got that up the inside. That's a late move, and there's a little bit of contact there. Thankfully, looking at the side, there's no damage, but it just tipped John Seal round there onto the grass. Richard Neary manages to carry on, so thankfully looks like that car's okay. And the good news is, as I was hoping, John Seals is as well. You can see there's not any telltale signs of damage there, so he's got that back on, so hopefully he'll be able to work his way through. And let's not lose sight of the fact that he's going to be handing that over to a certain Jamie Stanley later as well. So it's going to be great watching that car come through. I know John won't be happy that he's going to be further down, but it does provide some awesome entertainment, as do these guys coming down through the Craner curve. Jensen Lund really taken to this Marcus. It's like a duck to water, but he's under massive pressure by the number 44, Steve Ruston, at the wheel of that McLaren as it stands at the moment. Number 20, Tom Barrow. He'll be handing it over to Nick Barrow at the pit stop, and he's up over McLean's, and he's making his way towards Coppice now. And it looks like he's kind of got himself into a nice little comfortable no man's land at the moment. The Marcus hasn't, though, has he? Because he's still got Steve Ruston, number 44, all over the back of him as they round the corner together. And it was that just in the background, the Team Hard Janetta as well of Josh Jackson. But here's John Seal through Robert Chicane onto the start-finish straight for another lap. Here he comes across, as we now see Simons just, that looked to me as though he pretty much moved out of the way of the GTH Jasper Henriksen Janetta there. So I think they're still developing that car. It's been very challenging in the early stages, and they're getting quicker and quicker and more reliable, and hopefully that's not the commentator's curse, but they've been working so hard out on that car, and it's great to see. Fraser Smart will be jumping into that a little bit later. But there is the GTH car, the McLaren, the red and white McLaren, that trying desperately to... I'm sure he was flashing his lights there to see if he could put the driver off in front of him. I'm not sure about that. And it's Howell that's at the wheel of the number 8 car this time. So Gareth Howell starting. Richard Marsh won the sprint race earlier, and he'll jump in the car at the pit stops. But still the McLaren, that definitely, I had a suspicion this would happen. The 21 car, the Team Hard Janetta of Josh Jackson, doing the whole thing on his own. He is now closing on the GTH car ahead of him, the McLaren, and just running a little bit wide there. I wonder whether just unsighted there by the back marker in front of him, Richard Neary just kicks up a bit of dust but doesn't spin. Oh my word, that was close, as Gareth Howell throws that through the Roberts chicane, but scything up the inside there goes the number 3 Jensen Lund in the Top Cats Racing Marcus Mantis. Just so good to see those cars out there. Such a historic GT car that is, and it'll be Warren Gilbert jumping in, the team boss that will actually be jumping in at the pit stops this time round. Good to see Warren back out behind the wheel again. David Franklin under growing pressure there from the number 20 car, and I was just about to say, he's just keeping out of the way. He was doing a great job of keeping out of the way, but he just kept out of the way a bit too much and just pirouettes it round. Such a shame. He was doing the right thing there, and it just swept him back out as he got onto the marbles. Hopefully he'll get that one back underway again. And look at this, Richard Neary is now onto the tailcoat of the race leader, James Webb, number 13, that Lamborghini Super Trofeo. That's how hard not James, we know James was working hard, but Richard Neary is just really absolutely flat out kicking up the dust as he exited onto the Wheatcroft straight there, round Redgate towards Hollywood. Is he going to get the power down up the inside of Hollywood? Not quite there, because James Webb's not going to give it up. The pit stops have started. Now this is interesting. This is going to be Dan Dezil jumping into that Ferrari, the number 19 FF Corsa Ferrari. In comes 57, the HSC Motorsport, Jasper Henriksen doing it all on his own. And there is another car that's new to us this weekend, Feathers Motorsport. James Hilliard will be jumping into that one. Out goes Dan Dezil in 19. And there is the number 78 car. Jim Geddes handed that over to Glyn Geddy now, as Dan Dezil comes out behind him, but that's a GTC versus a GTO. And there is Sam Neary, as you can see from the sticker on the back there, is jumping into that car. And so Dad hands it over to son. Ooh, that got a little bit up close and personal there, as they were both released into the pits at the same time. But thankfully, the James Hilliard, the number 82 Feathers Motorsport car, was able to just kind of keep it clear of Warren Gilbert. Warren Gilbert will be trying to side that car through the field, as will Sam Neary now as we come out. Remember, this number 6 car, Graham Tilley, he's going to be handing that over to Will Tregurtha as well. And this second part of the race just gets so enthralling, to say the least. And that's a big lock up, a big lunge up to get past one of the back markers, the number 32 car. Probably didn't know which way to go, but Ron Johnson just kind of kept himself clean, and the Texerv Nissan just kind of got it levelled up and thankfully missed everybody. In comes James Webb. He's not handing over to anyone, he's doing the whole thing on his own. But Sam Neary, he's had the rest for the first half of the race. Now he's back out there for this second half, and he's got nowhere to really go, so he's kind of following the Saxon Motorsport BMW through to get past the the Stonebridge Motorsport Lotus Evora, and then he'll be making a move. Out goes the Lamborghini Super Trofeo number 13 of James Webb. And just kind of, you can see that it sort of needs to work itself out somewhat, because he's rejoined the circuit behind Chris Murphy, number 72, last year's champion. And that's probably sort of ready to lap him again, because of course that is a very quick GTC car coming down to make a move on that. That'll now be Fraser Smart at the wheel of that one, and there goes Will Tregurtha, or I think it's Will Tregurtha at the wheel now, and he just gets the power down. Wow, as he went exited Old Hairpin there, and he's got himself past the James Webb number 13 car, and here comes number 80, this Mercedes, absolutely flying and determined to make sure Dad got it into the lead just about, but Son's now got to make sure he brings this home. Dan DeZille, you can see he has really got the foot down there to try and bring that one home. There's the GTA leader, Jeff Steele Racing BMW, Richard Marsh at the wheel now after his great victory in the sprint. And here comes Glyn Geddy up the inside of the number 6 Nissan. He's been able to make that one stick. That's a great GTO battle there as they go head towards the Craner curves. A very fast part, and they've got another back marker. The Geddys don't like back markers in the Craner curves there, do they? But thankfully this time it all worked out okay, and that car is flying. It really is a battle of the pros out here at the moment. Remember that Nissan still getting used to things. And there is the B car number 3, Warren Gilbert at the wheel now, sides up the inside of Josh Jackson. That GTH car that he's doing the whole stint on his own for the first time here this weekend. Ooh, a little bit wide there for Glyn Geddy, but nothing too untoward. And look at this, here comes Jamie Stanley. We knew this was going to happen. He's jumped in, he's now scything through as much as he possibly can, but is he going to be able to have enough race left to get any further? He's up past the number 6 car, so he's got himself up into, what's that going to be? He's up into 3rd place, yeah, because Glyn Geddy in 2nd, the Mercedes still in the lead. So Jamie Stanley up into 3rd place on the road on this great fight back. Incredible lap times that he's putting in. And how high can he go? We're getting close towards the end of this race, but Sam Neary's under no pressure other than making sure he dispatches with his back markers. That was one that he just went up the inside of there. David Franklin did a good job again to stay out of the way. There's the checkered flag, a great victory for Sam Neary, flashes his lights, an awesome job, and he really just, they had so much work to do and he did it. So Richard and Sam Neary take the victory just ahead of John Seal and Jamie Stanley, managed to get up to 2nd place in the end. The Geddy's in 3rd place at number 78, and Tillian and Tregurtha in 4th place. GTC goes to James Webb. Jensen Lunn takes GTB with Warren Gilbert. GTH goes to Josh Jackson, an 8th overall. And 11th and GTA winner is Richard Marsh and Gareth Howe. Fantastic job. So let's hear from the drivers on the podium.
We're targeting a 50% of the race each, and they called me at the 25th minute, and I said, just one more lap.
It's a bit of radio, so I didn't actually know where I was, so I was just sort of trying to push every lap with the car I got given, which wasn't the best, obviously. But apart from that, yeah, it was a really good race.
I was enjoying the open road, but it was eventually closed down, so yeah, the car was going well. Felt really good in the first stint, and then, yeah, I did the whole lot rather than a lot of these wimps, so it's...
I haven't been in the car since April. I've teamed up with Jensen. He hasn't raced for 4 years and did the sprint race and got a fantastic 2nd and just getting quicker and quicker and quicker. He gave me a superb car, looked after it, and we just managed to catch the BMW and get the win. Fantastic.
Beginning of the race was tough. The McLaren kept us honest with their new tyres, but yeah, we managed to get the win. Lucky with the success penalty we didn't have in the pit stop, so yeah, it was good.